The day before the first American died, where was Trump? Where do you think he was? At another rally.
Narcissism and pandering to Nazis and supporting pedophiles.
This loss of trust and faith in information is deeply worrying.
The Lincoln Project, a well-known Republican anti-Trump group, released a scathing new parody ad that has angered former President Donald Trump. The outgoing president reacted strongly to the YouTube film, which has quickly garnered popularity and makes light of Trump's past scandals and electoral setbacks. Trump's statement is indicative of the ongoing struggle between himself and the faction of the Republican Party that opposes his power. As it gains popularity, the ad draws attention to the current rift within the Republican Party and demonstrates the potency of political humor in the current media landscape. The Lincoln Project has once again demonstrated its satirical prowess and received a positive reception from viewers with a new parody film that mocks Trump. The most recent video, which has viewers in stitches, depicts a cartoonish Trump lashing out in reaction to election results and becoming obsessed with Twitter. It subtly suggests that God, who was searching for someone proficient in everything but keeping his word and being honest, made Trump as a cheeky suggestion to divine intervention. And so a person dressed in gold materialized, prepared to convince the destitute people that they were spared. Let me introduce the Lincoln Project, unwavering defenders of American democracy, committed to preserving liberty and fundamental liberties. Their never-ending battle to free themselves from the grip of Trumpism is not going to stop. As Labor Day approached, the political operatives behind the Lincoln Project, a super PAC led by Republican dissidents angry about the course their party was heading under President Donald Trump, prepared a war room away from the D.C. corridors. This group, led by veteran advisors Steve Schmidt and Rick Wilson, unleashed a vicious attack on Trump with the same acerbic commercials that had been used against Democratic rivals. Their iconic regret ad, in which comedian David Cross skillfully and wryly enumerated all of Trump's flaws, was particularly notable. The blatant racism, the blatant misogyny, the crazed narcissism, and the giving in to the Nazis. From Regret, the ad that's been taking over screens, there's a moment that will leave you completely stunned.
I am starting to regret my vote for Trump. Encouraging violence against those that question your authority, the theft of our tax dollars to pay off your mountain of debt and or go golfing, any vindictive cruelty, the staggering ineptitude, the unapologetic corruption, the nepotism, the mob ties, relentless lying, you're a liar, being a white nationalist, demonizing immigrants, the obvious disregard of the Bill of Rights, lying about whether Russia had hacked our election when you knew all along it had, then lying about it, the collusion with our sworn enemy and the sworn enemy of democracy.
A voice of pain screams out above chaos and devastation, apologizing profusely for ever having backed Trump. The intensity of this dreadful moment is such that it seems as though the sky has split open to deliver a resounding denunciation of past mistakes and judgment. This message aims to persuade Republicans that Trump's divisive and harmful actions pose a threat to the nation. On the other hand, there is another type of advertisement that seeks to undermine the president. Consider Shrinking, a scathing examination of Trump that centers on his historic June rally in Tulsa. This ad gets straight to the point while boldly questioning Trump about the effects of his policies. The weight of the words in the powerful ad, Shrinking, which takes aim at Trump directly, reverberates like thunder. Words like weak, low energy, and sad are deliberately chosen to highlight Trump's character traits and create doubts about his capacity for leadership. This is a time of solemn reckoning, a mirror held up to the highest office in the country, revealing gaps in its facade. This candid explanation touches a nerve, maybe arousing emotions in the person who coined the phrase. Having to face reality can be challenging, even when speaking through an advertisement.
Hey, Donald, your campaign manager told you 1 million fans wanted to come to your first big rally. We've seen that you're shaky. Can't keep your polls up. And it's getting worse. You talk a big game and can't deliver. Sad, weak, low energy. Just like your presidency. Just like you.
The event in Oklahoma is unbelievable. The crowds are unbelievable. They haven't seen anything like it.
Even in Trump's rage, the rest of us find the spectacle to be immensely entertaining. The Lincoln Project deftly combines humor and politics to spark conversations everywhere. Their ability to make fun of Trump through parodies is unrivaled. In light of humor, are you aware of the Trump diaper controversy? The strain of the courtroom may be making you feel a bit hot under the collar, but don't worry, Trump diapers are here to help. In court, there's nothing more comforting than to know that you have the best adult incontinence products on your side. It's almost as comforting as a warm hug from your lawyer. Trump is presently being held in contempt of court for the 10th time, suggesting that he is engaging in a risky game of cat and mouse with the legal system. It's like trying to keep a sleeping bear awake by repeatedly jabbing it with a stick. The creators of the Lincoln Project understood they were hitting a nerve when the president started his much-anticipated tirades, taking to Twitter and the media to scream, so they branded their company the Losers Project. Regarding themselves as Trump anthropologists, the founders meticulously prepare for the president's gaffes, compiling an abundance of data that is primed for application at the appropriate moment. A recent ad titled P deftly contrasted images of valiant military service with Trump's derogatory comments against members of the armed forces. It's interesting that the commercial debuted just before The Atlantic reported on Trump's alleged remarks during a 2018 trip to France, in which he declined to visit an American cemetery and referred to fallen soldiers as suckers.
You know, Donald Trump in 2018 infamously opted not to visit the graves of American soldiers in France. To his credit, did muster up something respectful because he didn't want to get his hair wet. And also, he called them suckers and losers. That's not a joke, even though the only thing that he ever stormed was Daniels.
The Lincoln Project promptly addressed the public outcry by urging their Twitter followers to highlight the principles that real heroes sincerely preserve. They joined together with the hashtag #WeRespectVets and asked this question. The hashtag became the most popular political subject on Twitter in less than an hour after going viral. On September 9, 2020, the Lincoln Project released Parasite, a commercial aimed at South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. The commercial made fun of Graham's steadfast devotion to Trump by using a storyline and unsettling images of eating maggots. Veteran political operative Steve Schmidt, who played a significant role in John McCain's 2008 presidential campaign.
And I'm tired of it.
He was barely holding on before becoming Donald Trump's sycophant.
Keep it up, Donald. I'm sure you're watching.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Lindsey Graham, a political parasite
I'm disgusted.
with a record of lies and personal betrayals. Now he's despised and desperate.
They hate my guts.
Lindsey's always been weak, but these days he's just an embarrassment. Pathetic.
The Lincoln Project's founders discussed carefully how to divide their advertising budget among important swing states such as Pennsylvania, Florida, and Arizona. Skilled advisor Stuart Stevens, who has advised 5 presidential campaigns, suggested the following targeted approach. Basically, look at it like we're running 3 governors' races. He stressed the importance of wise resource allocation and cautioned against attempting to fix every issue at once. Stuart Stevens emphasized that attempts to boil the ocean would only lead to inefficiency and diminished impact. Recently, a section from Bob Woodward's most recent book, Rage, came to light, revealing that Trump knew the coronavirus was severe even as early as February, despite his later attempts to downplay the threat and even suggest the virus may go away. The founders decided right away to spotlight this admission in a short film and address it on social media. While the discussion was still going on, the project's director of communications swiftly tweeted the hashtag #TrumpKnew.
Coronavirus has now killed 3 times more Americans than 9/11. So what's Donald Trump been up to?
I think it took a lot of, I see them going and saying about speed, well, I mean, I got impeached.
He had plenty to do, like campaign rallies and golfing. In February, the virus spread to Europe. Where was Trump? On Twitter, as usual, blaming everyone else.
Amazingly, the hashtag quickly rose to the top of trending issues before the conference had ended. Along with filmmakers Fisher Stevens and Kareem Amer, producer Amy Redford arrived to document the project's development. Fisher Stevens, a prominent liberal activist and Hollywood actor, had originally thought about creating his own anti-Trump commercials. However, he discovered that the Lincoln Project had already implemented every idea he had come up with. The thought of their unceasing output made Stevens sob. These guys were out there every day putting out a movie. He asked me, I thought, who are these people? Who is performing these tasks? Mike Madrid, one of the pioneers who focused on voting pattern analysis, joined the GOP as a young Latino in an effort to improve his community. In the late 1990s, he served as the political director of the Republican Party in his native California. Despite his dedication to Republican ideals, Madrid was disheartened in 2016 when associates and friends persisted in supporting Trump in spite of his disparaging remarks regarding immigrants. Schmidt publicly broke with the party in 2018 and took to Twitter to criticize the administration's practice of severing immigrant families at the border.
The question of objective truth is up for debate. And certainly it's the case that absent truth, American people don't believe what they're seeing, what they're reading, what they're hearing. It's foundational to a democracy. The institutions in a government of the people, by the people, for the people can't function.
The Republican Party, he asserted, was a danger to our democracy, and the administration's policy of separating migrant families at the border was connected to the worst abuses of humanity in our history, including slavery. Similarly, Galen's concerns about the Trump administration increased when he saw that the administration was suppressing Black Lives Matter demonstrations with unmarked police. For him, the use of unchecked federal power at the state level was a significant departure from Republican principles. Political analyst Ron Steslow, the only other millennial who started the project, has highlighted the harsh realities that his generation must face, stating, "My generation is being forced to learn that democracy cannot be taken for granted." Even if the fees associated with his legal battles are growing, comparable to unpaid traffic tickets, Trump is unable to stop talking about each and every aspect of them and everyone involved. The judge herself is considering locking him up at this very moment. As a matter of fact, Trump's actions highlight what is perceived as a double standard within the American legal system. As expected, his response was classic Trump. He asserts that, as a political candidate, he should be free to say anything he wants, playing the unconstitutional card. I'm sorry, Trump, but the gag order applies to everyone, whether you're running for office or just voicing your opinions. Equity. Even 1M is growing impatient, despite the fact that he seems to be doing all in his power to keep Trump out of jail. Trump poses a growing threat with each move, much as in a competitive legal chess game. Legal experts are outlining the reasons why incarceration might be the only option available. They aren't even sugarcoating what they say. A former president being imprisoned would seriously disrupt the trial process, not to mention the potential political ramifications of locking up a presidential candidate so near to an election. Merchant said just prior to the jury's selection, "I have done everything possible to avoid imposing a jail sanction, and I do not want to do so, but I will if necessary." At the start of day 12 of the trial, this occurred. "Just because you put a MAGA in a post doesn't mean it's political," said Conroy. "It may make it more ominous. It doesn't make sense. He says whatever needs to be said to get the results he wants." "I don't have any case law to support that," Blanche said. "It's just basic logic." It is important to consider the famous locker room talk defense offered by Trump. It is analogous to trying to ignore charges and hoping they are overlooked. However, given the mounting allegations of physical misconduct, it is evident that Trump's campaign opted to say nothing. The Lincoln Project has 2.3 million Twitter followers, making it even more well-liked than the Republican Party's official account. Before Election Day, they aim to have 1 million email subscribers. The founders promptly distribute new fundraising requests in response to any major attack by the right. The tough-talking, unshakable President Trump was afraid because of the most recent parody advertising from the Lincoln Project. Who knew that anything might happen in the erratic world of politics? And based on the feedback, it seems like those constant commercials are having an impact. When the election draws nearer, it is yet unknown how these commercials will affect public opinion. However, the Lincoln Project's deliberate and unwavering approach continues to raise the stakes in the narrative of Trump's presidency and alter the political landscape in unanticipated ways.